Just waiting for the chat to populate a little bit. So I'm not going to really begin the lesson. Oh, come on, drumsticks, stay there. Okay. Let me fix my microphone. Boy, these clips, I'm telling you. Ay, 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 ay. Anyway, get in the chat. Let me know if you received the PDFs for today. And please say hello. Get in the chat. Hello, hello, hello. I knew I shouldn't have wore this shirt. Let me try this way. Okay. Who's Dave? You're Dave? Okay. How you doing, Dave? Did you receive the PDFs? No, I don't have you on my mailing list, do I? All right, for anybody that wants to get on my mailing list, not a problem. All you need to do is email me. I'll put you on my mailing list and send you PDFs or the week's agenda. Here's my email. Okay, that's all you need to do is just email me and I'll send you the PDFs. Today, because I have gotten a lot of requests. Oh, so you got it. All right, not a problem. Okay, so what I did, I've been getting a lot of requests to, review or revisit, definitions, note description, counting systems, and a little bit basic reading. So what I'm doing, most of the people who frequent the site, I realize that you're some really great players. You've been playing for a long time, and you should know what I'm talking about. This is basically geared for the people who don't know. So also for the seasoned players or the guys who've been playing for a long time, it's always good to revisit. So let's start the lesson. Let's go to the PDF. Now hopefully, Dave, you're printing out the PDF and you're putting them in a folder perhaps or a protector sheet and putting them in a binder, because you're going to get a lot of them. Just to become organized, that's all. Anyway, let's talk about the first sheet. The first sheet of the PDF is note description. Okay, so I'm sure that you have all kinds of drum books, and inside of one of the drum books, perhaps, there is a note description, like what a whole note looks like and a whole note rest. A half note rest. Quarter note rest. Eighth note rest. 16th note rest. 32nd and a 32nd note rest. Now I stopped at the 32nd. Okay? I don't want to clutter. Can you hear me okay? Because this microphone keeps doing some tricks on me today, I think. Let me try it again. Hold on, guys. So that's your note description. It's like you need to know how to read, learn the language. It's going to help you. How you doing, Ed? You have the PDFs. And it's something, it's part of the language. It's part of the process. You're a musician. Your drums are your instrument, and you should know what you're talking about musically. Now, it's based upon your notation. You know, you have the description. So let's go to the second page. What do we have here? How are you, Armando? I put my email in there. What you want to do is email me and I'll send you some PDFs. Now, in addition to the note description or knowing what the note is, excuse me, there's counting systems in 4/4 time. There's quarter note counting, eighth note counting, eighth note triplet counting, 16th note counting, and 32nd note counting. Okay? Now, it was kind of hard for me to put it all down on one sheet here. I did the best that I possibly can. So, when you're playing a 4/4, that's a time signature we're going to get into in a second. You're pulsing 1, 2, that's the bottom, 3, 4. And I just did quarter note counting. So I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, Jim. Me too. I hope so too, Jim. You know, ask the questions, and you know the other drummers will interact. Now the counting system, quarter note count. That's my pulse. I'm in 4/4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I play it on the snare. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the quarter note count. Now the next counting system in 4/4, with that pulse going on the quarter note, is eighth note counting. And if you realize this is all mathematically devised, okay? Here we go. Line number 2 on the PDF is eighth note counting. I'm just going to count it for now, then I'll play it with the pulse. It's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and pulse and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So now, I'm going to go back to the first line, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the first line again, playing it on a snare. But instead of me counting in quarter notes, I'm going to count it in eighth notes. Okay? 1 and play. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Again, 1 and 2 and 3. Next line, line 2. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now you'll see by the time signature, the definition when we get to the next page, why that is the way it is. Now, we're going to go to line 3, which is eighth note triplets. Oh, man, this program. All right, it's eighth note triplets. Now, there's a couple different ways to count eighth note triplets. My norm, or what I was taught, and it really works well with me, I count the eighth note triplet 2 different ways. The first way, which would be in its most constant all the time, which is 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the. Occasionally, if I'm subdividing, the triplet, I'll count the triplet as 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's how I count. There's other counting methods out there, like 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, or 1 ta-ta, 2 ta-ta, 3 ta-ta, 4 ta-ta. Now, those 2 last demonstrations or explanations I gave, the counting, does not really work well with me. I use it if I had to, but I don't really like it. I'm so familiar with 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the, or 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now notice, there's 3 notes to the downbeat. Why is that? Well, the 3/8 notes are bracketed together with a 3 on top of it. The 3 is indicating it's a triplet. So there's three notes to the 8th note triplet, which is equal to the quarter note. What is this? Hey, Jeff, get on my mailing list. The email's there. So I'm going to demonstrate the 8th note triplet. I'm going to do the pulse with the bass drum. 1, 2, count triplets. 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 and or if you count triplets, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, or 1 ta ta, 2 ta ta, ta ta, 4 ta ta. The last two I really don't use because I don't feel very comfortable with that. Then we have 16th notes. Okay? Now 16th notes is actually a grouping of 4 notes to the quarter note. If I add up 1/16 plus 1/16 plus 1/16 plus 1/16 equals 4/16. Okay? The 4/16, if you reduce that fraction, equals 1/4. It's all mathematic. So again, the counting system for 16ths is 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and Again, I'm going to do the pulse, and I'm going to play the notation on the snare drum alternating strokes. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4. 1 E and 2, 3 E and 4 E and The next line, 30 seconds. Everybody's, how do you count 30 seconds? Well, if you look at the first division there, 1 E and per count, I'm doubling. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 30 seconds as a fraction reduced equals what, guys? Participation, please. 8 30 seconds reduced to its lowest form equals what? No response. Guys, you go to school, man. 8 30 seconds reduced equals 1/4. 8 30 seconds to the quarter. So now, how am I going to get 8 strokes or 8 sounds to the quarter? Well, I reverb now to the 16th note count. 1 E and 2 E and now I double that count, double the stroke. 1 E and 2 and 3 E and 4 E and There you go. We got the winner. Send you a drum head. No, I'm only kidding. I don't have drum heads to send. Anyway, we understand it. Any questions? Excuse that last line. The program, I didn't want to write out 32 30-second notes, only because it would be too cluttered in that second measure. So forgive me, please. Okay, we go to the next page. And this I get a lot of email and requests to talk about, is different time signatures. Now, I'm going to first demonstrate the 4 time signature, 4 beats to a measure, 3 beats, 2 beats, the quarter note time signature. I guess that's how you would pronounce it. So there's rules when you're given a definition. 2/4, it's a simple definition. The top number shows how many beats are in a measure. The bottom number shows what kind of note gets a count or a beat. So with that definition or with that rule set, you have 2/4. There's 2 beats to a measure. Each quarter note receives or gets 1 count or 1 beat. So if I'm in 2/4, let me put this away over here. I'm going to play eighth notes in 2/4 or quarter notes. 1, 2, measure. 1, 2, measure. 1, 2. Simple. 3/4. Again, the rule. There's 3 beats to a measure. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And the quarter note receives the count or the beat. Now, the 2/4 and 3/4 are pretty common. 2/4 if you're playing poker gigs. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and ba ba do ba. Ba da do da binga. I haven't played a wedding in ages. Okay. So anyway, that's 3/4 is pretty common too. The waltz. Boom, tink, tink, boom. 1, 2, 3, 1. Ba ba da ba da ba 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 da ba ba. Let's swing it. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1. We'll get into that in another lesson. Then obviously you have the 4/4, which is 4 beats to a measure, and each quarter note receives the count or the beat. Again, the pulse on the bottom. 1, 2, 3. Quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. Measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. What's this? Hey, Horst. I'm sorry. How are you, sir? I did send you those PDFs. Did it help you? And we're going now to 5/4. 5/4 means there's 5 beats to a measure. Here's the pulse. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sorry, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4, 5. Sorry, my brain is going someplace else. 6/4. 6 beats to the measure, and each quarter note receives the count or the beat. So we have 6/4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now don't confuse that with 6/8. Okay, now the next one, and I stopped at 7/4. I could have gone on and on and on, but that's enough. 7/4. 7 beats to a measure. Or you could, there's so many different things. Let's just stay with 7/4. 7 beats to a measure. Each quarter note receives the count or the beat. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now notice what I did with sev. I didn't say 7. I said sev. So get accustomed to using that, because if I go 7, 1, 7, the 2 syllables, disrupts the flow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Any questions with that, gentlemen? Okay, so we understand now note description, counting systems in 4, or with the quarter note, and time signature definitions. We all understand that? Any questions on that, guys? Yes, no? Any questions before I continue? Now, what I put together is some very basic reading. Only because, I don't want to get involved. I can get involved with all kinds of reading, but this is just a very basic kind of thing to demonstrate what we just went over, 2/4, quarter note, the value, the counting system, so on and so forth. All right? Oh, by the way, next week, one day, I hope, to remind me, guys, I'm going to do a demonstration of how many different ways there are to use a metronome. Okay? Because I've been getting a tremendous amount of requests for that. And again, it's all mathematical right now. Okay, so you turn the page, I guess it's 4, and it's basic reading in 2/4. Again, 2/4, there's 2 beats to a measure. Each quarter note receives 1 count or 1 beat. So I'm going to play the bass drum on this, the quarter note pulse. 1, 2. I can count 16th notes. I can count 8th notes, quarter notes. I would highly recommend, so that you get the distinction between the value of the notation, to count in 16ths for this one. Okay, so now, again, I'm just going to play the first 2 lines, and then I'm going to explain a little bit, and I hope that there are some questions or some input. Right, Ed? Okay, so now, line 1 of page 4, 16th note counting. Again, my bass drum is going to be, is pulsating the quarter note. 1 E and 2 E and 1 E and 2. Notice I'm only counting 2 beats per measure. I just did the first 2 measures with the bass drum. Now I'm going to do it with the bass drum and the hands. So the first measure is really simple, 2 quarter notes. 1 E and 2 E and now we have a half note. Uh-oh, no trouble in the woods here, huh? Half note. A half equals how many quarter notes? How many quarter notes? Mathematics. 1 quarter plus 1 quarter equals 2 quarters. Reduce that to its lowest denominator, and you get 1/2. That's the half note. So I'm going to play the first line in 16th note counting. 1 E and 2 E and 1 E and 2 E and simple. If I'm doing a fast tempo, 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Simple. That's the first line. Now we go to the second line. Quarter note rest is the subject here. What do you do with a rest? Gentlemen, come on, some input, please. What do I do with a rest? I'm going to go outside for a cigarette or have a cup of coffee. I'm in tempo. 1 2 1 2. Now, my pulse is going to be the same throughout. It's on the quarter note. 1 2, or 1 E and 2. Whether the top indicates a rest or not. A rest you don't play. Now, the difference between the second measure and the third measure, it's played the same, but it's written differently. How come? How come? Well, does anybody know the answer? I'm not going to tell you. I want some response. I'm going to the second line now, counting 16ths. My bass drum is going to be played. 1 2. 1 E and 2 E and 1 E and 2. 1 E and 2. 1 E and 2 E. 1 E and 2. Simple. Okay? Now, third line, we have a combination of eighth notes and quarters. So I have 1 E and, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 again. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. Now I apologize to the gentlemen or the people here that understand how to read this, but it's revisiting somewhat, and it's my approach of how I teach it. However, it's for the people who are here who don't know how to read it, and it's going to help them. That's why interacting in the chat with questions, gentlemen, the seasoned players here, all right, will help out. It's always good to get someone else's approach or how they do it. Not a problem. That would be very helpful. Okay, no problems. All right, let's go down to third line, eighth note, so I just did. 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4. Simple. Okay, now go to the fourth line. Something new here, an eighth note rest. It's telling me I'm going to rest on that eighth note. 1E and the 2E and 1E and the 2E and the E and the 2 and 1E and the 2E and the third line. 16ths, eighth note rest, eighth note and quarter and eighth notes and 16th notes. 1E and the 2E and 3E and 1E and the 2E and 1E and the 2E and fifth line, 16ths again. We added an eighth note. 1E and the 2E and 3E and the 4E and last line, eighth note rest. 1E and 2 and 1E and the 2. Simple, basic reading. It's just to demonstrate and to make you understand the value of the notation. Do we have any questions, gentlemen? Please step up. I mean, I got a whole lot of other stuff to cover right now. And we're going to continue on this tomorrow at 1 p.m. It's a half hour I've been into the lesson. All right? Now, I have the 2, 4, 3, 4, 4, 4, 6, 4, 7, 4. I think 9, 4 as well. Will you want me to skip to a different time signature instead of 3, 4, and 4, 4? Speak up. Wake up, pay attention. Please tell me. Okay, I'll go to 3, 4. Is this helping everybody? It's kind of clarifying what you thought you knew. Come on, guys, give me a break. Okay, thank you, Jim. All right, let's go to 3, 4. 3 beats to a measure. 1, 2, 3, measure. 1, 2, 3, quarter notes. 1, 2, 3. Okay. First two measures, excuse me. We have quarter notes and a half note. We're counting 1, and I do it in 16th note counting for a reason. Because we're going to change the count throughout this. We're going to do 16ths right now. 1E and the 2E and the now. 1E and the E and the 3E and the 1E and the 2E and the 3E and now, I just played what was there. 3 quarter notes for the first measure. Second measure, 1 quarter note and a half note. The reason why the half note's there, it equals how many quarter notes? All right. Second line, 1E and 1E and the 2E and the 3. 1E and the 2E and the now. 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 1E and, what did I do? I'm sorry, I thought it was a half note. I apologize. Second line, 1E and the 2E and the 3E and 1E and the 2E and the 3. Simple. Very basic reading. Let me skip down to the last line. We have a combination there of 16ths, 8th. Now let's go to the line before the last one. That will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Line 5, because now we have a 16th note rest. Okay? The 16th note rest. Hold on a second, guys. The 16th note rest. Hey, Black Friday shit. Any questions? One more time. Okay, we're going to the 5th line. Again, we're in 16th note counting. 3/4, 3 beats to a measure. Each quarter note receives the count or the beat. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1 E and 2. 1 E and 2 E and 3. Want me to slow that down? 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and now, if you add up, get a piece of paper, you want to be a mathematician, you add up, say for example, that line, the first measure of that line 5. You have 4/16, so just write 4/16 plus, and the 16th note rest, which is equal to 1/16, plus 3/16, plus 2/16, plus 1/8. Tell me what you come up with when you reduce it. Let's see what we got going on here. All right, the question is, do I think a quarter note and a quarter note rest make more sense than a half note? It comes through phrasing. If now the term comes staccato, Ed. Staccato is short sounding. Bop, bop, bop. So if I play that first line, if I'm going to hum the first line, just the first measure, bop, 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 the quarter note was short sounding. When I come to a half note, okay, the half note's going to extend the sound. If you were a trumpet player, okay, and I did the second measure, bum, ba, bum, ba, bum, ba, I extend it to 2 beats. That's the difference. I can't explain phrasing right now with basic reading. Does that make sense to you, Ed? Short, long, staccato, short sounding. Bop. I'll play the first, I'll hum the first line. Bop, 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 ba, bop, 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 ba. Now, I'll use a half note rest or two quarter note rest on that last measure. So I'd have pop, 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 pop. That's not I'm using the rest. You don't play it. You don't hit the 2, 3. Okay, so now, does that clarify it for you, Ed? Does it help? Make sense? You can contribute to that. I have no problem. You're reading the drum chart. Pop, 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 ba, pop, 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 ba. Now, if I have 2 quarter note rest at the end, I'd have pop, 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 pop. Excuse the chicken sound, but that's how it is. Okay, let's go to 4/4. It's a common time also. Represents a C, and a C with a line through it represents cut time. Okay? Ed, did that clarify it for you, please? Or if you want to add to that, please do so. Okay, 4/4. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and that equals the bass drum on 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to count 16ths, and I'm going to play the first line. 1 E and 2 E and 3 and 4 E and 1 E and 2 and 3, 4. Slow it down for you? Okay. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4. Before I forget, all right, let me go back to 3/4. I'm sorry, if you don't mind. Hold on. You know, we do the stick control book. Remember, we vamp and or we play all the rights down. What is this? The note would be staccato. If I hit a quarter note, a half note, you hear the sound. You hear staccato, long. You hear the difference? Staccato, long. That resolves it, I believe. Okay, let me get back to this. When I'm doing the stick control book, I've shown you how to maintain the bass drum 1, 2, 3, 4, and the hi-hat 2 and 4, playing an eighth note vamp. And playing all the rights down, or if you're in a syncopation book, reading the line with your right hand in 4. So let's do the first 2 lines of stick control book. With page 5, line 1 and 2. Back. So on and so forth. Now, I really feel, sometimes reading, and it's essential, it's extremely important, and it's a big, big part of the language. Now, it does become boring, and I can't help that. But it's a growth process from one level to the next to the next. It's like a set of stairs. You climb each different level. The more you read, the more experience, and you can hit it. Now, I like to make reading kind of fun and do a couple different things with the reading, so I don't want to be too shallow. I'm demonstrating that on one surface, okay? What I want to do, let's take, for example, the first couple of lines of 3-4. If I'm playing in 3-4 using an eighth note vamp, and I want to establish a pattern with my bass drum, I could play all 3, 1 and 2 and 3, or I want to bring in the hi-hat. Now, I could use the hi-hat on all 3, whatever I want. But let's just play the hi-hat on 2 and 3. You get that waltz effect. 1 and 2 and 3, and 1 and 2, 1 and 2 and 3. Oh, by the way, Ed, if you're playing a snare drum solo, usually you have a quarter note, it'd have a dot on the front, on the top, means short. But if it's a solo, I don't believe I come across that unless it was like the Haskell Harr book, or not even the Buddy Rich book, okay? But anyway, let's get back to that 3-4 vamp. We're establishing the bottom as the bass drum on 1, hi-hat on 2, 3. This is constant. 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3, 1, 2, 3. And let's read the first couple lines down. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Sorry. 2, 3. Oh, I got lost here. I got to get set up with a music stand someplace. I apologize. We'll get back to that. Okay, that's the quarter note pulse. Again, let's go to something else. Let's go to the odd time signature. Let me just demonstrate that. I've given you definitions, and we'll get back to this sometime tonight and sometime tomorrow. 3/8 time, 5/8 time, 6/8, 7/8, 9/8, 11/8, and 12/8. Let's start with 3/8. 3/8, the definition is there's 3 beats in a measure, and the eighth note gets 1 beat. So I have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 5/8, 5 beats to a measure. All right, I'm going to play the bass drum on all the eighth notes on 3/8. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now I'm playing that as a pulse. All right, 5/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I played that as a quarter note, ay, acabunda, now trouble starts on 5/8. Because the quarter note, if I'm using this as a quarter note pulse, this is where it gets a little strange. Okay? The rule stays in effect, of course. The quarter note equals 2/8 notes. But I have 5/8 notes in the measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm going to go to the next measure. So I'm still maintaining the quarter note. It would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that's. I think we're going to just do a whole lesson on the odd time signatures. You have the sheets, you have the definitions, and you also have some basic reading. Guys, review it, look at it, email me questions, whatever you want to do with it, and we'll continue on this somewhat tomorrow. Now, those who are going to do the 7 p.m. lesson, we're in the workbook. Workbook, you're going to have, I believe, I just said ostinato number 5, and we'll break that down and play with that a little bit. Okay, so at this point, are there any questions? Or if you want to wait to email me some questions, or look at everything and review everything and come up with some questions tomorrow, or if you come in tonight, ask the questions. Okay, everybody. Oof, 45 minutes. I wanted to spend an hour, but I can't do that. I will try it. I will definitely do a longer lesson tonight than 45 minutes. Come on. So again, what's this? Okay, the workbook. All right, well, that's something, Dave, that you need to purchase. Do you live in the USA, Dave? The workbook's about 170 pages. I am working on workbook number 2 at the moment. The workbook number 1 is things that we're going to be working on occasionally, like there's 10 different ostinatos, I believe, and there's a breakdown on it. If you live in the United States, where do you live? Absolutely. You just email me. You have my mailing list. I mean, you have my email. Email me questions. It's not a problem. I just, if I don't get to you right away, it's because I'm answering someone else's. But anyway, where are you from? Virginia. Is that Virginia? Let me put my glasses on. Hold on. Virginia. Okay, that's cool. All right, well, there's a charge for that. The workbook is $35, which includes shipping. If you can't afford or you don't want that, I could send you PDFs for a cost. We'll talk about that on email. You could print them out and put them in a folder. It's entirely up to you. You have my email, email me. Guys, I got to sign off. Okay, I hope you guys don't mind. I wish I could spend more time. Okay, that's good. Email me, okay, Mr. Dave. I've been getting checks in the mail. PayPal has been, I get notifications on PayPal. I mean, it's nice, man. You guys are really into that. I'm not trying to make any money, but I do need to make a few dollars. I hope that you understand that. Okay, anyway, I'm going to sign off. No questions, or if you do have questions, I also have Skype. If you want to get on Skype, my Skype contact is Matt Patella 1. Request getting on Skype, and I'll accept you, and we could talk one-on-one, and that would help. But like I said, gentlemen, if I have time, I will. I mean, I'm getting overwhelmed with a lot. I'll do my best. Okay? I'm going to sign off. There's no questions, correct? I'm going to wait 15 seconds. Oh, no, make it, 30 seconds. Okie doke. See everybody tonight, hopefully, at 7 p.m. All right, let me just write one more thing in here. This is for those who didn't get it. You're welcome, guys. Here's my Skype contact. Here's my email. Okay? You want to talk one-on-one? Skype. Want to email me, get on my mailing list, get the PDFs, and ask questions? There's the email. Okay, gentlemen, until tonight, 7 p.m. Thank you.